Welcome back to the channel. For those just joining us, this is the fifth and final discussion that we'll be having about the holographic universe model. It's based on a 5-part workshop by Stephen Davis. You can find a link to that in the description. Over the past few weeks, we've been unpacking this really intriguing idea that we're all essentially players in a virtual reality game that was designed by our infinite selves, our higher consciousnesses.
And today, we're going to dive into some of the most fascinating implications of this model, particularly around how our perception shapes the reality we experience in this game.
Right, because if we are players in this grand simulation, then understanding how our perception works is kind of crucial, wouldn't you say?
It's absolutely fundamental. Stephen Davis uses a really interesting analogy. He compares our experience to a holographic 3D total immersion movie created by our infinite selves. But here's the thing. We don't always perceive this movie accurately.
And to illustrate that point,
Yeah.
he brings in the work of Daniel Simons, who's done some amazing research on visual illusions.
Simon's work is a powerful reminder that our brains are constantly taking shortcuts, making assumptions, and filling in gaps based on our expectations. And sometimes, those shortcuts lead to some pretty wild misperceptions.
You're talking about those crazy illusions where you think you see one thing, but then it turns out to be something completely different.
Exactly, like the swimming pool illusion, where a cleverly designed chalk drawing on a flat sidewalk tricks our brains into perceiving depth that isn't actually there. Or the chess pieces illusion, where the background color can actually change how we perceive the shade of the pieces themselves.
Okay, that one messes with my mind every time. But here's the question. What do these visual tricks have to do with the holographic universe? I mean, it's one thing to be fooled by a clever drawing, but are we really misperceiving our lives to that extent?
Well, that's where it gets interesting. Think about Simon's famous invisible gorilla experiment. You're so focused on counting basketball passes that you completely miss a gorilla walking right through the middle of the scene.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. It's shocking how easily you can miss something so obvious when your attention is elsewhere.
It highlights the power of selective attention. But it also raises a deeper question. What are we missing in our own lives? Because we're so focused on a particular narrative or belief system.
So in the holographic universe, our invisible gorillas might be opportunities, insights, even entire realities that we're simply not perceiving, because our beliefs are acting like blinders.
Precisely. Our beliefs shape our perceptions, and our perceptions shape our reality. This brings us to the fascinating work of Dr. Bruce Lipton, a cell biologist who integrated quantum physics into his understanding of cells.
And this is where the science starts to get really mind-bending right.
Lipton's research challenged the traditional view that our genes control everything. He found that the cell membrane, not the nucleus, is actually the brain of the cell.
Wait, so the environment,
Yeah.
as perceived by the cell, is actually calling the shots.
That's exactly what Lipton discovered. He coined the term epigenetics, which is the study of how environmental factors influence gene expression, essentially. This means our genes are not our destiny. Our thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions play a huge role in determining which genes are activated and how our bodies function.
So even at the cellular level,
Yeah.
we're creating our reality through our perceptions.
Yes. Lipton uses a great analogy with maps. Think about the Mercator projection map, the one we all grew up with in school. It distorts the size of continents, then compare that to the Peters projection map, which shows the continents in their true proportions.
So our beliefs can be like inaccurate maps,
Yeah.
leading us to perceive the world in a distorted way.
Exactly. If we believe we're limited, powerless, or unworthy, those beliefs can literally become our biology. We might activate genes that contribute to illness, stress, or even premature aging. On the other hand, if we cultivate beliefs of abundance, resilience, and love, we can literally change our bodies for the better.
This is reminding me of the placebo effect.
Yeah.
The idea that simply believing in a treatment can create real healing,
Right.
even if the treatment itself is inert.
Right. And there's also the less-known nocebo effect, where belief in something harmful can make us sick, even if that thing is actually neutral or even beneficial.
Wow. So even something as seemingly objective as our health is influenced by our subjective perceptions.
Absolutely. And Lipton uses a great example of this with the Palm Springs Follies, a dance troupe of women in their 70s and 80s who defy typical aging expectations. Their passion, their joy, and their unwavering belief in their ability to keep dancing seems to keep them young and vibrant.
So if our beliefs can influence our biology so profoundly, even shaping how we age, What about something like money? I mean, money seems pretty concrete, right? You can see it, touch it, spend it.
That's a great question, and it leads us to one of the most intriguing aspects of the holographic universe model. The idea that even something as seemingly real as money is subject to our beliefs. Think about all the common beliefs we have about money.
Oh, I've got a whole list of those. Money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work hard to earn money. There's only so much money to go around.
And those beliefs, while common, don't actually hold true within the framework of the holographic universe.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying money doesn't have to be earned? That there's an unlimited supply?
In this model, money, like everything else, is ultimately created from the field by our infinite selves. Yes, central banks print it, governments distribute it, but at a fundamental level, it's our infinite I that provides.
Okay. That's a pretty radical concept. But how does that actually work? Does this mean we can just sit back and wait for money to magically appear?
It's not about doing nothing. It's about aligning with our infinite I's desires, letting go of the limiting beliefs that block the flow of abundance. Think of it this way. Does it make sense? That our infinite I would want us to have a certain experience, but then withhold the resources we need to fully participate in it.
It's like in a video game. The player needs tools, resources, even in-game currency to progress through the game. And who provides those things? The game designer, the one who created the experience in the first place.
Exactly. Our infinite I is the ultimate game designer, ensuring we have what we need to engage in the experiences they have chosen for us.
Stephen Davis shares some pretty incredible stories in his workshop about money appearing seemingly out of thin air. Like that time he received an unexpected $250 deposit. Right when he needed it for a trip, he didn't do anything to earn it. It just showed up.
It's as if his infinite I knew exactly what he needed and provided it. And he mentions other examples too, like a friend whose €100 note mysteriously transformed into a €500 note, well, in Monte Carlo.
And then there were those women whose debts just vanished from their bank accounts.
If we view life through the lens of the holographic universe, these sudden shifts in our financial balance shouldn't be so surprising. It's like finding a hidden treasure chest in a video game.
So it's not about manipulating the system or trying to manifest money through sheer willpower. It's about aligning with our infinite I's intentions and trusting that the resources will be there when we need them.
That's the key. Now, it's important to note that this doesn't negate the value of effort or action. We still have to play our part in the game.
Right. It's not about being passive, but it is about shifting our focus from a place of scarcity and struggle to a place of trust and abundance. I know The Secret got a lot of people excited about the idea of manifesting their desires, but it also created a lot of frustration and self-blame when things didn't work out as planned.
Exactly. The danger with The Secret, and with any manifestation technique, is that when things don't materialize the way we hoped, we often blame ourselves. We think, I didn't do it right, or something's wrong with me. But in the holographic universe, we're always doing exactly what our infinite I wants us to be doing in each moment.
So there's no need for self-judgment or criticism. It's all part of a larger unfolding, a grand design we may not fully comprehend, but can learn to trust.
And this brings us to the critical question of how to let go of those limiting beliefs that keep us stuck in a cycle of lack and struggle.
This is where it gets tricky, right? Because we've been conditioned to believe in these limitations for so long. It's not like you can just flip a switch and suddenly believe in unlimited abundance.
It's not about swapping one set of beliefs for another. It's about recognizing the deeper judgments that fuel those beliefs and addressing them at their root.
Stephen Davis mentions a few techniques that can help with this process, like spiritual autolysis and Psych-K. But he cautions against just focusing on changing the beliefs themselves.
The key is to address the underlying judgments, those pronouncements of good or bad, that create resistance.
Because what you resist persists. I've heard that saying before.
It applies to everything, from our personal struggles with money to global issues like war and violence. If we judge an experience as bad and try to fight against it, we're still engaging with it on that same level of duality.
So are you saying that by focusing on ending war, for example, we're actually perpetuating it?
It's a radical idea, I know. But what if, instead of resisting what we don't want, we put more energy into creating what we do want? As Buckminster Fuller famously said, to change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete.
So instead of fighting against war, we could focus on building a world of peace, cooperation, and understanding. It sounds a lot more effective and a lot less exhausting.
Davis also points to the two trees in the Garden of Eden story, the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. The traditional interpretation is that eating from the tree of knowledge led to humanity's fall from grace.
Right. It represents the original sin,
Yeah.
the separation from God.
But Davis offers a different perspective. He suggests that the tree of knowledge actually represents judgment, our tendency to label everything as good or bad, right or wrong.
Oh.
And by eating from that tree, we become trapped in a world of duality, constantly fighting against what we perceive as evil.
And the tree of life.
The tree of life represents a state of non-judgment, a place of acceptance and unity, where we see the perfection in everything, even the things we might label as negative.
So the key to escaping this cycle of judgment and resistance is to return to the tree of life, to embrace the wholeness of our experience without labeling or separation.
Exactly. And that's where the power of saying yes comes in.
Like Terrence Howard did in that movie clip we talked about last time.
Precisely. It's not about saying yes to everything blindly, but about cultivating an attitude of acceptance and openness. It's about recognizing that even the challenging experiences are part of the grand design of our infinite selves.
So instead of resisting what is, we can choose to embrace it, trust it, and see where it leads.
That's the real magic of the holographic universe. It's about surrendering to the flow, trusting that our infinite eye has our best interests at heart, even when we don't understand the reasons behind what we're experiencing.
It's a profound shift in perspective. It's about letting go of the need to control and allowing ourselves to be guided by a higher intelligence, a higher purpose that we may not fully comprehend, but can learn to trust. It really is a powerful shift. It takes away so much of the fear and the struggle and replaces it with a sense of wonder and possibility.
And that sense of wonder is what allows us to open ourselves up to those infinite possibilities. If we can truly grasp the idea that our infinite selves are orchestrating this entire experience, then there's really nothing to fear. We're always being guided, supported, and provided for, even when we can't see the bigger picture.
That's such a reassuring thought. It's like knowing that no matter what challenges come our way, we have the inner resources and the cosmic support to navigate them.
Absolutely. And it also reminds us that we're not alone in this game. We're co-creating it with our infinite selves and with all the other players around us.
So if we want to change our experience of life, including our relationship with money, we can start by shifting our beliefs, letting go of those limitations we've imposed on ourselves, and embracing the abundance that's always available to us.
And by remembering that we're not just passive observers in this reality, we're active participants. We have the power to choose our thoughts, our beliefs, and our actions. And those choices shape the reality we experience.
This whole conversation has been incredibly eye-opening. I feel like I'm seeing the world and my place in it in a whole new light.
I'm so glad to hear that. Remember, this is just the beginning of your exploration. The holographic universe model is a vast and fascinating concept with endless layers to uncover.
For anyone listening who wants to dive deeper into these ideas, I highly recommend checking out Stephen Damica's 5-part workshop. You can find a link to it in the description below.
And as always, we'd love to hear your thoughts and reflections on this episode. What resonated with you? What new insights did you gain? Share your experiences in the comments section.
As we wrap up this final discussion on the holographic universe, I want to leave you with one last thought-provoking question. If you truly believed that your infinite self was guiding you to the most fulfilling experiences imaginable, how would that change your approach to life, your relationships, and your relationship with money?
Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep playing the game with an open heart and a curious mind. Until next time.